welcome back. My name's Steve and thank you for joining me today on my photography journey. Today I've got the Z8. Got the Z8, I've got my 24 to 200mm lens, I've got my 180 to 600 in my bag, and I'm here in Windsor Great Park, Windsor Castle, just over there. Lots of countryside, lots of trees, lots of forests, lots of aeroplanes, and a bit of sunshine, a bit of wind. And what I'm going to do today is carry on testing the Z8 and see what it's like here. I want to use my longer lenses and be able to share with you what's going on, so expect some pictures of woodland, countryside, birds, deer maybe, aeroplanes, and then hopefully Windsor Castle as well. So let's go and take some pictures. I've been out and about all day, wandering around Windsor Great Park. I've seen the castle, I've seen some views, I've seen some birds, some cows, cyclists, walkers, things like that. And I'm just sat here. I have the Z8. I've got my 24 to 200 on it at the moment, which is basically what I've been using most of the time while I've been out and about. And my thoughts on it. I kind of miss having a user 1, 2 and 3 button on the top. That is something that the Z30 has, that the Z5 has, that I don't have on this. I'm sure there's a way to map the different custom settings banks that you can have to a button, say a function of 3, and turn a dial with it. But I've not done that yet. Maybe that's something that I should do for the rest of the day and see how that affects things. The autofocus is so much better. Being able to choose the 3D focus, the people, animal, birds, aeroplanes. I saw a few of those as well. Being able to choose those and to use those makes a big difference, and it focuses quickly. Not native, but being able to go down to ISO 64 helps with the landscape pictures. The viewfinder is fantastic. I was trying to take some pictures of dragonflies. I failed to take pictures of dragonflies. However, it was easier to see them through the viewfinder than it was with just my eyes. So that says something about that viewfinder, doesn't it? Or my eyes, I suppose. Overall, the size and weight is no problem at all. I've got more used to the dials. As someone pointed out in the comments, the fact that they are more rubbery means they're a bit more tactile and a bit easier to control. I think that's actually a good thing compared to the more plasticky feel of the Z30 and the Z5. That's something that I've learned as I've been going along. And the tilting screen is fantastic. I really like that, and being able to use that makes a big difference. But let's go back to my office and I'll talk to you in a bit more detail about this, and I'll also go through some of the pictures that I've taken today and show you what I've done. So welcome back to my office. I have been out in Windsor Great Park this morning and I've taken lots of pictures. Like I said, I was there with my 180 to 600 and my 24 to 200, and I wanted to get pictures of a variety of things. And the main reason that I was there was to get lots of pictures with the Z8 in different situations, using different lenses, different subjects and things like that, so that I could give it a bit more of an all-round review, test it out and see whether I might actually want to buy one or not. So I've got my laptop here. I've just imported everything back into Lightroom. So let's load that up and let's take a look at some of the pictures that I've taken today. So here we go. As you can see, I've taken 304 pictures, quite a few to be honest. So I started off, I parked relatively nearby, took a few pictures in the woods, and this is where I was sat first of all when I was talking to you. And I've taken a few bracketed shots, so 3 different exposures, and you can see, let's just select one, and you can see the settings over here. So it was at 31mm, a 30th of a second, f9, 200 ISO. A 60th of a second and a 15th of a second. So 3 different shutter speeds with these 3 different images. If you press Ctrl and H, that is an HDR merge of those images. And what you get there is you get all the detail from all three images kind of put together, and Lightroom does its magic. I'm using the actual Lightroom this time rather than Lightroom Classic. I've kind of switched over a bit so that all of my pictures are stored in the cloud in full definition, so that whether I'm using my phone, whether I'm using my laptop, whether I'm using my Mac, I can access the full resolution image rather than having to carry an SSD around with me with those images on. So that's just something that's changed a little bit with what I'm doing at the moment. So the idea of bracketing is that you've got the right exposure for the darkest areas, the right exposure for the lightest areas, merges them together, and then that's what gives you a good final picture, so that you can then get the best of all of those, and then edit it and make it how you want it afterwards. But while that's doing that, let's go through what else we had. There were a few animals around, not a huge amount. And this, no, that's an aeroplane. What I was trying to capture at one point was a dragonfly. And like I said in the video, the viewfinder on the camera was really good. It did help me see a lot clearer than I thought it would. I was very impressed with that. It's significantly better than that on the Z5. There's Windsor Castle, and I tried to get a few pictures of that. So D on here goes into the detail view, so you can see it full screen. And then if we zoom in, you can see just how much detail this 45 megapixel sensor picks up. So let's just have a look at that. So we have 8,256 by 5,504 pixels, giving us a 32.9 megabyte file. So it's pretty big, which is why the burst modes need to have smaller files for the C60, C120, C30. They're saved to JPEGs, and they're a lot smaller files. We'll come to some of those in a moment. But trying to save this much information quickly, you still get 20 frames a second, which is still not bad at all. Like I said before, that's significantly more than you get on the Z5, Z30. So let's continue having a look. G to go back to your grid. And then what I liked was just walking through the woodland there, the countryside, and taking pictures of whatever I fancied. Switching between the different modes on the Z8 was much easier once I'd set a function button to it. So I set function 3 and then a turn of the dial in order to get the different custom menus. And that was much easier. The one downside to that is it just says A, B, C, and D. It doesn't tell you what you've customized the name to. So A for me is dogs, B is for landscape, I believe. But there we go. So I don't even remember. And that's the tricky bit with that. But there's only 4 things, so you should be able to remember. Even I should be able to remember that. And then we've got different pictures of the scenery, the countryside that's there. Let me just use the auto settings for the moment. And this one is at ISO 64 f9, so kind of standard landscape settings. And then I changed my shutter speed. So this was 1/100th of a second and at 24 millimeters. This is a pathway that I walked down. There's lots of flowers in the side here, which if we then come back out G for our grid view, a couple of pictures of aeroplanes. We're fairly near Heathrow Airport as well. And then what I did see was a little bee on the flowers. There we go. So that's zoomed into 100%. And you can see the detail in that. Let me just auto, nothing too exciting for that. But you can see the details of the bee. You can see its wings quite clearly. And even when we zoom back out, you can still see it nice and clear. It's well focused on, and it gave me being able to zoom in like that with 45 megapixels means you can crop right in if you want to and get as much information displayed as you want. And again, similar kind of thing. I've got a butterfly here, not the most exciting pictures other than that. It's a nice clear picture of a butterfly. So let me just zoom into 200%, and you can see it is nice and clear. Nice. Come back out to our grid. Lots of pictures of those with the butterfly and the bees and the flowers. Trying to get a nice clear picture. Just have a quick look through for now. Again, more landscape. Anytime that you see that I've got 3 pictures in a row here, this is where I have bracketed those images. And then some cows, there's some cows in the field, and what I really liked with these, let me find the best one, I think. Let's have a look at this one. E to edit. And what I'll do as a nice quick starting point is just auto on there. And you can see Windsor Castle in the background, you can see the cows in the foreground, and then all the lovely trees and everything. I'll spend some time editing this properly, sort the colours out a bit. Then there were some red kites flying around. I tried a burst mode on them. I didn't get particularly great pictures. Again, I'll go through them in a bit more detail in the future. I did quite like this one. This is a view kind of halfway between Windsor Castle and the Copper Horse, I think it is. No, this is Queen Anne, I think. Who knows? But the main thing is that I wanted to centre that in the middle of this circle, which that picture isn't quite. This one. Let's just auto setting those. So again, let's go 100%. You can see through the centre of the circle, we've got that statue of the horse. It's okay. It's not my best work, let's say. And then the same, looking the other way. And then through the centre here, you can see Windsor Castle. So I quite like this one. Maybe even cropping in like that. We shall see. I used a variety of lenses. I used a variety of settings. And these pictures are ones that were taken with the burst mode. So these were on C60. Sorry, not these ones. These ones are on kind of the normal size. So these are RAW files. Again, about 34 megabytes. And then you'll see that we zoom in a little bit more. So this is the C60 setting. And this is a DX crop and at 60 frames a second. And you can see the cows in a lot of detail. But we're now a 5 megabyte file, and that's what you get for using that C60. You get a much smaller file, but you can still edit it. It's a JPEG, so you can't do a huge amount with it, but you do still have that option to edit it, which is really good. And you get plenty of them in order to choose the right one, catch the detail exactly how you want it to be. So obviously I have taken, I think it was about 110 pictures of cows. So I obviously held my finger down for about 2 seconds, which is quite a long time when you're doing that. Some more scenery pictures. It was nice being able to use a ISO of 64, aperture of f9, and using the tripod, being able to have my shutter speed exactly how I wanted it. But I can do that on the Z5 as well. And to be honest, that's something that I found today really, was that I could do most of the things that I wanted to do with the Z5. Now I didn't take that with me today. I just wanted to use the Z8. The battery ran out relatively quickly. The files are quite big, so they took up a lot of space. The quality of the pictures is obviously fantastic. It's a great camera. I just don't think it's quite what I need. I don't need 120 frames a second. Well, I'd quite like 20 frames a second of a RAW file, because then taking pictures of the dogs and things would be good, and the enhanced autofocus that you get with this camera. But for my day-to-day woodland landscape, beaches, that kind of picture, I don't need all the bells and whistles that the Z8 has. So maybe something without those is what I'm after. So maybe it is the Z6 III. I'll have to borrow that one and do a proper comparison. But for now, my thoughts on the Z8. I've really enjoyed using it. It's been a fantastic camera to use over the last few days. The size doesn't bother me at all. It's very expensive. It's more than I would want to spend on a camera because I don't earn anything from my photography from YouTube or anything like that. So I can't justify spending that. If you're making money and your photography is your income, then it's a fantastic bit of kit. I would highly recommend it. So I'm going to stick with my Z5. I'm going to notice a limitation, so I'm going to do a follow-up video. I'm going to go out to a National Trust place or something like that with the Z5 soon, take the same couple of lenses as I've used today, and then do a follow-up and see whether going back from the Z8 to the Z5 leaves me with any particular feelings. I know the autofocus won't be so good, but that's not something I use a huge amount. So get subscribed to see that, see if I cry in that video and really regret sending this one back. But thank you for joining me. Have a great week, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.